we've got progress on the new Supergirl movie, and I'm gonna tell you right now, I'm more excited about this Supergirl movie than the Superman movie. I promise I could explain. A new set photo was posted revealing a brand new variant of the Hope symbol, and just before this photo dropped, it's been confirmed, to the surprise of nobody, that Jason Momoa is going to be playing Lobo in the DCU. And so as of right now, Supergirl is on track to release in June of 2026, an exact year after the upcoming Superman movie this summer. And one thing I haven't heard enough people talk about is who's writing and directing this movie, which is one of the reasons why I am more excited for this movie than Superman. And look, another major reason why I'm more excited about Supergirl than Superman is because as of right now, while I'm looking forward to what James Gunn has in store for the DCU, I feel like we kind of already know what to expect from him. And so seeing other filmmakers tackle the DCU is something I'm super excited about. I've been meaning to make this video since last year, but now that all of this Supergirl news is coming out, I feel like this is the perfect timing. When I took a look at the cast list, I got super excited because it looks like we're going to get a faithful adaptation from the comics. I need to give you guys context. Let me explain. So Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow was announced at the top of 2023 when James Gunn showed us the upcoming DCU slate. He told us that this movie would be heavily influenced by Tom King's Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow miniseries. And that's something that we're going to be breaking down a little bit later on in this episode. I'm really excited to talk about it. And so in early 2024, it was announced that Milly Alcock, best known for her role in House of the Dragon, won the role over several other actresses, one of them who is Meg Donnelly, who is actually the voice of Supergirl in the Tomorrowverse movies. So now, here we are a handful of months away from the Superman movie, and the Supergirl movie is actually real. Cameras are now rolling, and we actually currently have a little bit of a casting list, and this kind of tells us what direction this movie is going to be going in. So obviously as Supergirl, we have Milly Alcock, Jason Momoa as Lobo, David Krumholtz, and Emily Beckham as Supergirl's parents. And there's a reason why this is very important that I'm going to break down soon in this video. And two characters that I'm super excited to see, Krem of the Yellow Hills and Eve Ridley as Ruthie Marie Null. In a Twitter post, James Gunn said, "Thrilled to see cameras roll at Warner Brothers Studios' Leavesden on Supergirl. With Craig Gillespie at the helm, Craig brings an incredible sensibility to this story, and Milly is every inch the unique Supergirl envisioned by Tom King, Eve Lee, and Anna Nogueira. And oh my goodness, I couldn't be more excited. And you know why I'm so excited? It's gonna sound weird. I'm so excited because we don't know what to expect from this movie. This movie is going to be based off of the Supergirl comic written by Tom King, Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow. And I got the chance to read it, and let me tell you, this was an interesting read. For anybody that's read Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow, I would love for us to start a dialogue down in the comments section below, because I don't think, and this is not me trying to gas up the story or anything, I kind of wish I read this without hearing what anybody else has said. And it's kind of ironic because I'm about to talk about this comic. So the Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow comic by Tom King follows Supergirl in her early years, and she goes off to another planet to enjoy her birthday. Here we meet a little girl named Ruthie who's trying to avenge her father's death. And so the entire story is Supergirl and Ruthie going on a quest to find a man named Krem of the Yellow Hills, who is just an absolute menace. I don't want to spoil the book, but one of the things that I love so much about this comic is that it played out like an epic Greek poem. The writing in this was great. I think what I enjoyed so much about the Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow comic is that it wasn't exactly told through the eyes of Supergirl. This story follows Supergirl through Ruthie's lens. And so the entire time it almost feels like we're looking up to Supergirl rather than experiencing exactly what she's experiencing. And I actually just started the Absolute Superman run, and this Supergirl kind of gives me similar vibes to the Absolute Superman. After finishing Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow, I could see why people feel like this is the definitive Supergirl story. And one of the reasons why I'm super excited about this movie is Supergirl's age in comparison to Clark when Krypton blew up. And I think that's always been an interesting angle between the two characters. This was the first time I've ever had to contend with the idea of Krypton actually dying a slow death. And there's a chapter in this story where we actually get to meet Supergirl's parents. Her father instills the idea in her, be good. And so I'm excited about the casting in this because it's clear we're going to be getting a Supergirl origin story. We have the casting for both Supergirl's mom and dad. And when Krypton actually fully blows up, Kara is actually 17 years old. And what I love about this book so much is that Ruthie is somewhere around the same age as Kara when Krypton blew up. And here goes Ruthie trying to avenge her father when Kara lost everything. I hate to put it this way, but Kara loses everything. Meanwhile, Ruthie loses her world, which is her father. And so when we meet Kara in this issue of the book, she's 21 years old. So the memory of Krypton is still very fresh in her mind. And so earlier in the video, I mentioned that this book felt like an epic Greek poem, and that was definitely in the way that it was written. There was a lot more narration bubbles than I was expecting to be in a comic book, but it made sense because by the end of the book, there's a reason why they chose that structure for the story. One of the things that makes this comic so beautiful is the artwork, but the writing is already doing a lot of heavy lifting to the point where this could have just been a regular novel. There was no need to turn it into a graphic novel. The antagonist in this book is Krem of the Yellow Hills. And to be honest with you, he's a scrub compared to Supergirl. And the reason why I mentioned that this could have easily just been a novel is because comic books are a very visual medium, just like movies, to the point where storyboarding is basically just creating a comic book. And there's some really beautiful moments in the book, such as when Supergirl is fighting the pirate ship in space. There's a few moments of fearing for Supergirl's life, but there's never an actual fear because we know Krem, once again, is a scrub. And so I'm excited to see how they deploy Lobo in this movie because I feel like maybe Lobo is going to be working hand in hand with Krem. And I tend to like these stories of restraint. That's what the whole entire theme of this book was, restraint. Supergirl's beauty comes from the fact that in the blink of an eye, she could destroy her opponents, but she chooses to hold back. There's a specific line in the comic that reads, "Her power was not one of action, but one of restraint, endurance, and passion." And let me tell you, as you go throughout this story, Supergirl is just going through so much BS. And it's like, for what? One of my favorite chapters was chapter 5, I believe it was. And Supergirl is stuck on a planet that was specifically built to house Superman, like literally built to annihilate Superman. And it mentions that Superman only spent 45 minutes on this planet. And so when Supergirl gets there, she's weak and battered. And this is a really good character development moment for Ruthie also. But when Supergirl gets on this planet, their game plan is, okay, we just gotta get off of here. How much time did Superman spend on here? 45 minutes. Okay, we just gotta wait for the sun to set. How many hours do you think it takes for the sun to set? 9 hours. And so Supergirl is in agony for 9 whole entire hours, and Ruthie is there basically babysitting. But every single chapter had its own lesson that makes a nice little bow at the end of everything. And when I think about the story, it plays out like a road trip. And that's why I'm very interested in who's writing this and who's directing this. So to my knowledge, I've only seen one film from Craig Gillespie who is directing this movie, and that is I, Tonya. One of the things about I, Tonya that I loved was the time jumping. We covered so much ground and so much of Tonya Harding's life in such a short amount of time that the movie, this could kind of be seen as a bad thing, but in this case, I'm viewing it as a good thing. It made the movie seem longer. And so with the way that the Supergirl book plays out, it played out in a very similar pace to I, Tonya. Ana Nora Guerrera, on the other hand, is a writer who originally came from stage plays and has only written one short film. And so my excitement comes from the fact that, once again, I have no idea what to expect from this. I'm very excited about how we're going to handle the theme of this movie and the role that Lobo is going to play. I think a lot more action is going to be required in order for this to be a film. And so overall, after reading the book and seeing all of this news coming out, I am super duper excited about what Milly Alcock is about to give us with Supergirl and what Craig Gillespie is about to throw onto the screen. But we've also been getting news that Supergirl is actually going to make her first appearance in the new Superman movie. And it's kind of concerning me a little bit. So click over here and we'll see you in the next encounter.